Hi guys. So you may have seen the first part of my vlog where I was a bit emotional. I'll end this vlog in like 10 minutes. This is part 2 of the previous vlog. But yeah, I was saying after the vlog, I'll be working on my shop for the rest of today. My friend's coming over tomorrow, so don't worry. You know, sometimes I know this is very stupid to say, but I know this is a very stupid idea for you guys, but this is something that I want to say to comfort myself. And it really is that you should not depend your life on anyone. And that I think that is so true. Even if for the moment you must depend on someone for something, know that there is always another way to get that thing. There's always another way, and you are more. And why? Because nobody nothing or nobody is ever permanent in this world. Not even your sister, not your dog. I know this is very sad to share this, but I've got a friend and her father has passed away. I think it was I won't say her name so you don't know, but I think it was like 2 years ago. And nobody knew that. And I never knew that either, because things go very quickly. You shouldn't, I hate doing this to comfort myself, but it really is. Sometimes you have this thing right now where you're depending on for something. Maybe it's for money, maybe it's for love, maybe it's for whatever. But whatever you're depending on has I know this really sucks to use the shortage of something to convince yourself that, not to take it so seriously, but this is the only thing I literally can do. And what I really mean is nothing in this world can permanently stay by your side except for yourself. And I know this sucks. I know this sucks because I know people will be angry when I say this, because it's a selfish thing to say. It's selfish when you say, oh, I love all of you, but you're all gonna be gone one day. It's almost as if I'm saying, like, I'm not grateful for you, I want you to be gone. But that's not true. That's not true at all. That is not true at all. I feel like when you love something, when you really, really love something, sometimes you want to be apart from it, because you know that what they need or what they flourish in is not where you are. So that's how I feel, because I feel like it may be a common thing from like you guys to feel like I'm not with this person, I'm not at this thing, and I feel guilty for it because I decided to stay apart from it, I decided to leave it, and you'll feel guilty. To be honest, I feel like I would feel more guilty if I'm lying to someone about knowing what that person needs. I don't know, that's how I feel. I feel like I would feel more guilty if I am saying or doing something that is kind of like fake convincing something, or not knowing what they really need and giving them kind of like this fake thing. I don't know what kind of thing. I know it's terribly cruel of me to say this. It makes me feel like I am a really bitter person, like, and it kind of spirals down because I'm like, okay, nothing is permanent. Oh, great. Am I trying to say that I hate everything then? course, that is not true. I think there are a lot of amazing things and a lot of beautiful things in this world. But I also don't like the idea of you depending your life on something else that is not from you. I just don't like that idea. Because once you depend on something else or someone else or some company or some people or some family member or some animal or some ideal or something, like what I was doing, I was depending so much on the ideal that I should be a good girl and not talk to anyone else apart from the people I think I should talk to. You know, it's good to embrace something that you care about, but I think being dependent on it is a different story. Because it's good that I'm depending on this. You know, this is something I'm depending forever. Maybe I'm trapped in it, and I would feel trapped. I would be like, oh, now I am trapped in this thing forever because now I'm dependent on it. But you know what? You can never be trapped. You can never be trapped because with this business, you know, I love everyone in the company. Everybody was super nice. Everybody was so nice to each other. But I planned the company to keep living on for the next 10 years. I was like, oh, I'm so ready to, you know, continue in the next 10 years and continue on my thing. Same with the guy in the company. I was like, okay, maybe he'll stay there in the next 10 years as well, and we'll be very good mates and we may learn from each other. But guess what happened? The company died because of some other company, the legal issues, out of the blue. Just like that, like a click. Like, without warning. Just happened one day. I was still doing my presentation at school. I received the message right after I did my presentation. The message came really quickly. I quickly messaged that guy from the central company because I said I was going to meet him. He said he left the company 2 weeks before I texted him. Just like that. Just left. No longer part of the company. It happened so quickly. And what I mean is, like, whatever you think you're trapped in is also not permanent. People go bankrupt. Things crash. Stars, supernovas explode. And you know, it seems kind of selfish. You know, it kind of... But you know what? Sometimes you just got to, because you got to live. You got to live because I'm here as well. So now I'm also fighting for my happiness. So that's why I'm thinking selfish thoughts. I'm still fighting for my happiness. So, but it's true. Am I lying? No, I'm definitely not lying. Like, maybe I have seen things that lasted for a very long time. You can depend on things for a very, 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 very long time because your life depends on it. There have been stuff like that. Maybe like you're in a beautiful relationship, but you don't think the guy is really the one you really want, but you just really depend on the idea that you want something, you know, you're stable already, so you're kind of dependent on the idea that you're stable. It's kind of like that, but you're like, I could have maybe, like, this wasn't the best decision I made because maybe he is bad to me, maybe he doesn't really care about me, maybe his true self wasn't really the one I wanted. But so for many years, you know, maybe like 80 years, you've been stuck in like that. But what I mean is in general, if someone like me, based on my experience in general, there's no happily ever after in something, on someone, or with something. There really isn't. Because, like, the chances of that happening is low. It's not like... And you know what? It sucks to say this. I feel like an evil moron for saying this, but that genuinely comforts me. It's not that I don't like stability. It's just that I don't think I've experienced anything that is stable and happy. It's really, I mean, it sucks. It almost sounds like I've been in a bad environment, but it's true because it is true because I am in an environment where the definition of happiness for others is just excruciatingly different from my definition of happiness. So for me, the comfort of impermanence is really something that so comforts me so much. Even back then when I was in high school, I was like, I feel so guilty for thinking this. Back then when I was in high school, I was like, oh my gosh, studying for HSC, which is this university exam, studying for it is so tough. I'm gonna be like this for the next 5 years. I am so tired of this. And let me tell you, I have had hard times at school. I had times where I felt really lonely, where there were people who made fun of me, where I had times where I had no friends, where I had problems with people, and mainly, sometimes I felt like I didn't belong. Sometimes I was just sick of all the stress that all my teachers and my family was placing on me. And you know what I thought back then? I feel really guilty for saying this. I feel a bit guilty, but I'm not guilty right now because I'm angry right now. I'm a bit emotional right now. I'm a bit of a stinge right now. But I actually thought to myself when I was in high school, hey, this is all gonna end. Like, school is going to end. Yeah, maybe I'm gonna go to uni, but I won't be at high school. I won't be with people who I thought were kind of annoying. I won't be in the same class with the people who I thought were kind of annoying. I won't be with this person who always makes fun of me, and I won't be stuck with this problem or whatever, this guy who was being super weird, like, or these problems that stuck with me. I had problems which I thought would stick with me during high school because, high school, we know each other and we're stuck with situations and everything. But every year I know it's weird bringing back high school stuff, but taking that as an example of why it comforts me, because every single year, high school, we have grade 7 to grade 12, right? And grade 12 we have uni exams. So every year it was different. Years were slow, but every year my problems were different. The things I was obsessed over were different, and my worries were different. And you know what I always felt a little bit disappointed in myself in high school, especially year 12 towards the exams toward university, because I felt like I didn't put enough effort. And well, I know this is a really sad confession to make, but I've seen people around me who had sucky grades who worked like 200 times harder than me, and I felt jealous. Like, not jealous, I felt like, damn, she did that, but I didn't do much of that. I had tutors, I had family support, I was good. I wasn't working the hardest. Was I working the hardest? No. I started my YouTube channel in year 11. I was making music in my free time. I was playing the ukulele. I was singing. I was chilling in my free time. I was I was doing my thing in my free time. I was writing lyrics. But I felt really bad because I felt like when year 12 came along, there was this guilt inside of me. I was like, I wanted to do so well and prove everyone well, including my grandfather, who was in the hospital. He was passing away. He had cancer. He was passing away. So I wanted to show him through spirit, because he actually passed away before the actual exam. But I wanted to show all my family members, including my granddad, who loved me so much, so dearly. I wanted to show him that I did my actual very, 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 very best. But you know what? My exam results weren't that good. It was average. Was it like awesome? No, it wasn't. It was super duper average, and I've always had that guilt because I would like, I spent all this time studying. I spent all this time. I wanted to become the best at my grades. But you know what I was thinking? All I was thinking was, I want to get the freak out of here. I was thinking, I want to hurry up and finish the exams and go to university. And when university finally came, that's when I realized. That is when I realized, oh my gosh, I want to go back. I'll go back to high school, but you know what? I definitely don't want to go back. But I kept thinking every year, I was thinking, oh, this is gonna end. Year 12 is gonna come, it's going to end. When we finally said our goodbyes, I was so happy. I was so happy. I was like, this is finished. Of course, I had good friends. I mean, I was sad and all that, but in general, I was so happy. University, same. I felt like uni was different. I loved university. I enjoyed university. I was studying there. A lot happened in university. You know, a lot of new things. I felt much more hearty. I felt much more happy in university. You know, I felt like university, I never really looked at the end. I never went like, oh, there's still 3 years to go. There's still 2 years to go. And I would never think like, I mean, we had some classmates, but I never complained about them. A lot of them were musicians right now, but I would never complain about them. I wouldn't go like, oh, I won't see that person there, or that person there, or that person there. Like, I would never think that. I would even think like, where would they be afterwards? Will I see them again? That kind of feeling. I would miss the memories. And that's something different. That's something I want to have more. But, you know, sometimes it just really comforts me when I know, oh, there's gonna be, you know, it sucks, but like, imagine me going to work, it would be something like, oh, you know, this company, it's not gonna last that many years. Like, you know, like, I've seen the CEO and stuff of that company. He doesn't look like he really does much or whatever. Like, convincing myself, like, you know what, this company is gonna be bad. I'm gonna leave the company in a few years. You know, that excites me. I'm gonna be gone from that company. But it's not the company. That was in high school. Fast forward, now it's completely different. I got to postgraduate, and as a postgraduate student, I have even crazier problems, which was that I loved what I was doing. I loved what I was learning because I chose it. I chose what I love because now I'm doing this for what I love to do, my dreams, my dreams, which is literally my career, what I want to do. But guess what? I was bullied. Every term was good. Every term was good. I met amazing people. It was good. The experience wasn't bad. I had friends. There were times where I was happy, but this term I was bullied. I was bullied. You know, in postgrad. And that's different. And I wouldn't think like, oh, I can't wait until postgrad ends. Because I literally chose this myself. I was like, I chose it because I wanted to experience all of it. Because this is my career. It's whatever I do, whatever I try to learn my postgrad is gonna go into my career. It's literally what I'm doing for the rest of my life. So that's a different idea. That's not even, oh, high school's almost done, like someone else chose this for me. I chose it for myself. So when you're responsible and you choose something for yourself, that's a completely different story. Same, I chose this dream. I chose to start the shop because I wanted to help the Moon Bubble brand. I want to start the Moon Bubble brand, and you know, this was a stepping stone. I chose it. So there have been times where I was building my dream, like when I was interning, when I was helping out, where I was like, you know, this is all gonna end. And you won't, you know, because you won't have to deal with those people anymore. And you know what? There was a time where I said that to myself. I was like, you need to be careful. I mean, relax, don't worry, you're worrying so much right now. Guess what? You're taking this all for granted. This is gonna end. And you know what? Last 3 days, it finally ended. And was I guilty for thinking that? Let me tell you, it's different. It was partially yes, partially no. Because I am someone who just kind of really values kindness. So it's not even high school. It's not even about high school. I'm just someone who just really values kindness and like and and so I'm just thinking, if someone is not able to give kindness, then why should I feel guilty for thinking that, for thinking like, oh, this is the impermanence that I'm not going to be working with that person anymore, or what that, like, I don't feel like I should be guilty because, you know, it's so much easier for someone to be the abuser than the abused. That's just simple. That's just simple as it is. So thinking about that, you know, I like to think the impermanence. Like right now, my mind is really going into the impermanence. You know, do I feel guilty? Do I feel mean about, like, you know, maybe there's a guy there who's really wants to be with me, wants to know me more, but I want some space and I, you know, just want to be friends. Or there's a job here that I'm working towards because it gets me towards my dream, but I just kind of wish that I can hurry up and, you know, quickly finish what I need to do these few years so that I can open my own brand and become self-sufficient and do it all solo, so I don't need to always, you know, so that I can, you know, be kind of more bossy in myself and for myself. Yeah, that's something I would love. It's something I would love to do and something I desire to do. But it does feel so selfish to think that, oh, there is kind of like an impermanence. Like every sort of thing you're doing, there's this graduation thing, so you shouldn't take it for granted. And that's definitely something I think about. Like I am taking everything very carefully and very, just like, really appreciating all the, being grateful for all that I have. But when you want something, you just, you know, when your heart wants something, that's the final goal you're going to. You know, if this thing is not my final goal, if this thing is not the thing I feel at home at, then maybe I will be thinking about something else that will make me cope or kind of make me feel a little bit better. And I know whatever I build for myself is permanent because it's coming out from myself. Like, I will always be with myself. So therefore, what I'm doing with myself is permanent. I also know that maybe if I have a man in my life or a boyfriend or something in my life, then he's partially permanent as compared to maybe just a guy friend, or maybe just a guy who kind of just sees you as someone really entertaining for like these 2 years and just suddenly just poofs into thin air and just never really cared about you. I know compared to them, my boyfriend will be more permanent with me because maybe I'll be with the boyfriend and I'll be living with him and I'll growing up with him and I'll have a family with him and I will have to go through life with him, and that's a much more permanent thing. So I mean, would I think about impermanence all the time? Maybe not. But you know what? Thinking about high school, I think impermanence really was a way that I dealt with it. I really thought about how, stop thinking this, like, I would tell myself a lot, like, when I was in year 7, I would tell myself a lot, year 12 just gonna come rolling by. It's 5 years. Year 12 is just gonna come rolling by. Like, even with that in mind, it's like, even though I was bullied post-grad, the end of post-grad is gonna come rolling by because my post-grad is only 2 years long. So if I keep studying it, I mean, not gonna be many years and I'm gonna finish it. So I mean, for me, that didn't hit me as much as high school. But same with life as well. Like, what about like 5 years later is gonna come rolling by, and what's gonna happen then? Am I going to be in a relationship? Am I going to get married? Am I going to be closer to my dreams now? Am I able to build my dreams much more solid? Like, oh, are the people, maybe am I with the right people that I want to be with, or am I still with the people that I was with? You know, just the idea of permanence. The reason why I feel like I never think about it, like, for me, permanence, like, yeah, sorry, not permanence, impermanence is very not in my life right now, is because if you look at the last few years, where I was like from last year, I would say the last from 2020-ish, which was 20, how many years was that? 5 years ago up to now, I was practically doing the same things, under the same situations, had the same friends, went to the same places, had the same hobbies, and had the same things happen to me, which was had this opportunity and suddenly this thing blows up. No, this is not the first internship that some legal thing problem happened. This is like literally the second one. Like, it's reason why I don't care about impermanence anymore is because everything in the last 5 years to me was written like a book. Like, you put in the storyline, I know exactly how it's gonna end, then it repeats. You know, that's the danger of like someone like me who's that's the danger of living in a relatively repetitive life. That's the danger of it, because you grow up to kind of there's people, mind you, I have friends who have lived and who live very, very unstable lives, like much more unstable than me. Like, they move countries, their family structure changes, you know, or some really big things happen. They have like these amazing relationships, or these amazing opportunities, you know, or have like really, really strangely unstable lives. And because I've seen them, the danger of someone like me who's living in a very repetitive kind of life will feel as if like you cannot feel impermanence anymore. Like, you can't feel the excitement of when the new year comes by, when another year passes and you're like, oh, it's another year because this happened or that happened and I achieved that, well, that happened. I'm with this person already for 2 years, or whatever, I achieved that for 2 years. Like, no, I can no longer feel that anymore because nothing happened. Like, to me, for someone with a repetitive life, it will feel like impermanence is not exciting. It's nothing, because once impermanence ends, it happens again, and like, it becomes sort of like this thing you take for granted. Not, I would say, quote with quotation marks, take it for granted, because you might not understand this, but as someone who's lived a really, really repetitive life, it feels kind of like when you've been given the same meal every single day, like meals finish, right? But let's say, like, you have the same meals, like from Monday to, like, there are 4 weeks in a month, right? There are 7 days in a week, right? So it's like you been given the same foods and same specific foods in the 7 days of the week. You have baked beans on Monday, cheesecake on Tuesday, spaghetti on Wednesday, sushi on Thursday, pizza on Friday. Sounds amazing, right? But imagine having all the same thing repeatedly every single week for the last 5 to 7 years. And how do you call that impermanence? If you know that's impermanence equals permanence. So suddenly you take it for granted. You're like, impermanence of something or someone becomes something permanent. And suddenly you're just like, you naturally lose motivation. You're naturally just like, ugh, here we go again. Sort of like that. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying that right now, for me, I like to think of impermanence because I want to think that this stage of my life will end, the part where everyone yells at me. Because I don't want to think, I do not want to stay here. I do not want to stay thinking the rest of the next 5 years this yelling is going to continue because I haven't reached whatever. So I personally believe, or I want to believe, that this stage of my life is an impermanence. It's rolling towards graduation night in 1 year, and this is the last year that I'm gonna be yelled at before I'm finally launching my dreams. And I'm going for my dreams. It's the, just want to pretend this is a stage in my life where it ends and there's something cooler that's coming next year with happier fireworks and, something different. That kind of feeling. But I don't know if you guys know what I mean, and I know it sucks to think about that. I know it really sucks, but you just got to do it to sometimes give you some leeway to be you and love you. You're not gonna be your age for long. You're gonna get older, and maybe the problems you have now will be different from the problems you will have later. But if you spend the rest of your life, like if you spend most of your golden years like crying, and not crying but kind of like allowing yourself to be swept away by some petty people's own complaints, but mind you, a lot of the people who complain are actually in happy lives. They have quite happy lives. And are you going to be swept away because every minute that you kind of sweep yourself away in them, there may be a time later in life where you kind of regret it and you're like, oh man, I wish I was a little bit more kinder to myself that time, because I could have done it with a more kinder heart. So I hate thinking about impermanence sometimes, but I really want to think about it now. I want to think about how this period of my life is impermanent, and I want it to end as soon as possible so that I can kind of jump over. I want to be excited again about a new exciting chapter of my life. But I think one of the problems I had was that I didn't know if I can actually reach there, if there is really a thing like that, which is the reason why I have been so emotional. But I think I will, because nothing is permanent. And I hate to say that. I hate impermanence, to be honest. I hate it. I hate it when I'm having this wonderful time with some people and, you didn't even say much, and now suddenly you're all swept in this new stage of your life. But there is also, for me, I realized as soon as an old thing gets swept away, I realize this new thing I'm comfortable with will start to make you feel as if it's going to last forever. But I want to remind myself that it won't. And I hate to say that. But really, whatever you are doing now, working now, usually, with the flip of a coin, usually it ends before you know it, before you're swept into a next stage of your life. Because, you know, longevity, there's luck in that. You need to be very lucky. So I think it will make me more grateful, because everything, everyone, you know, you can't always trust that things is going to be long. It's not something you should ever pin your life towards. But yeah, that's a lot of talking for today. I still have many hours of working on the shop. I'll be with my friend tomorrow in the next few days. The reason why I wanted to make all these long vlogs is because I have to share what I feel and get these things out. Thank you for giving me that space to, you know, to share what I love. And I am looking forward with so much heart to making new content and coming back with songs and more ideas and more sharing more about my life. My friend will take care of me in the next few days when we watch Squid Game 2. Hopefully that's a good escape from my pain right now. I just want to be, you know, sometimes, you know, dreaming is not terribly good, but sometimes I just want to dream and just kind of dream away to a better place. You know, even if it's not real, sometimes I want to just get away from what's hurting me. But anyways, I'll talk to you soon and take care. And I have a video edited up, so hopefully I'm gonna get that up sometime in the weekends. I have some time in the weekends. Perfect thing to get my mind kind of off. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. Take care.